Well, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I have another fantastic guest, and I got to tell you, I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. One of my favorite folks out there. We have Navy veteran and co-founder of the organization CAMMO, which we'll get into. Cathie Lechareas is with us, and Cathie, just for fun, because it's been a while since you and I served, we'll do a fun little radio check. How do you read me over?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, same here. 5 by 5, Lima Charlie, loud and clear. Oh, I haven't. It's been a long time since I've heard those when it mattered, so it's fun to do it just for old time's sake. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Cathie, our audience is familiar with you because I've mentioned you quite a few times on the show, and I've talked about a lot of fantastic, uh, mostly veterans that are in your organization that are musical. They're musicians or performers, voices of service. We'll get into all that in great detail,
Okay.
because I know our audience loves the music and what you're doing. But if we don't mind, we'll go back in time a little bit and just tell us your
Okay.
background, your like I like to say, your origin story as a superhero. How did you decide to join the service, specifically the branch and MOS? What was all that about for you?
Well, I'm from upstate New York and a small town called St. Johnsville
Oh,
on
sure.
the Erie Canal, Mohawk Valley.
Yeah.
And looking beyond high school, I wanted an education. I wanted something a little bit more to travel. So when I took the test, cryptology was just opening for women
Hmm.
at that time. And I qualified, and it was always between the Navy and the Air Force, but the Navy had the school first for women. So I
Or,
went in the Navy.
that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that era, that was okay. I didn't realize.
78.
Yeah, yeah, right when they started opening that up. That's fantastic. So so some of our listeners weren't in the service themselves. So what was like the initial training and where'd you have to travel to kind of get the coursework done? How did that work?
Sure. I first went to boot camp in Orlando that no longer exists. And then I went to A school in Pensacola, Florida. When I started, it was back with teletype.
Oh
So
wow.
that was a long time ago,
Yeah.
learning all the characters. My first duty station was the Pentagon. I worked for CNO Spitcom, and I was one of the first women in my billet, and I worked with all men. So that was my first duty station. From there, we went to Guam. And then I transitioned out because my children's father is retired Marine Corps.
Hmm.
But so we were still active, but I transitioned out and went into the reserves. So we went to Guam, Hawaii, and then back to the DC area.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I forgot there was a base in Orlando. I always wondered if when they built Disney out, maybe there's a secret recruiting station there people aren't aware of. They're
Yeah,
getting
a
scoped out.
long time ago. People don't even remember it was there.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's really something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So learned a great deal, have made lifelong friends, and working in the field that I do, there's times where we cross people or different branches that went to school or different schools that I did. So it's
sure.
such a small community.
That's really fascinating. When you went into the reserves, did you carry the same MOS or did you change?
Yes.
Okay, so that was right. Yeah, I don't think a lot of folks realize that skill set being required in the reserves just as much as the active duty. Mhm.
Well, back then, I don't know what happens now, but at that time, it was, you were fine to do it. We were in Guam, and we were at the naval station.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
So,
awesome. That is so cool. And then, so tell me where, I mean, you can feel free to fill in the blanks of the timeline, but I mean, eventually you have this incredible skill set from the military. You went into the reserve, so obviously you had to find a civilian occupation and figure that out. What was that like, and how did that, whatever those steps were, how did that transition to what you're doing now, and what came about? the origin story of CAMMO. You know, if you could kind of fill in the
Okay,
gaps there.
sure. I also have a teaching degree and focus on infant child psychology. So I was able to teach both of my children through their kindergarten schools. So
Great.
I taught in Hawaii and I taught in the DC area for a long time. While in the DC area, I started volunteering with the Southeast Veterans Service Center, which is a facility to help veterans that were out on the street, getting them into an apartment, getting into a home. I also worked to help with the women's facility. That was back when there wasn't any place for a woman veteran or women with children.
Right.
And working with this, you learn a great deal about mental health. At that time, it seemed to me they were using a lot of medication for mental health and not any alternatives, nothing like we have now. Music is something that I've always responded to, related to. If I was upset, put the top down in my car and turn up the radio.
Yep.
This classic rock. That is my go-to. But then I realized I'm not the only one that can use music. And I met my co founder, who has since left us, and he came from the entertainment world. So I'm coming from mental health, he's coming from entertainment, and it just worked.
Yeah.
We,
Brilliant.
we knew what we wanted to do, and we have since grown and added programs or adjusted to what was needed. When we first started, there was just a few of us, and we were providing the entertainment at old Walter Reed in DC. And we'd provide entertainment for the picnics, whatever the events were. Then we started working with the patients that were there, finding opportunities for them, those that had played before or wanted to learn more. We had one veteran that went on to the rock and roll fantasy boot camp. We worked with David Fishoff, and he was the
Oh,
first
wow.
amputee to play the guitar uh, on the show.
Wow.
So we've done that. Throughout the years, we've grown. We've added music therapists. We've added songwriting workshops. The workshops are for everyone that has never written before to those that do write. For those that haven't written before, we have the group smaller and more people to help you through that process. You may have one idea, but then listening to everyone else, your story may have changed a bit, or your song.
Sure.
We've had people write, one Army veteran, she wrote a song about her service dog and her service dog saving her from herself. She had attempted suicide twice, but her story was positive because here she is now. She's out sharing her story, and music and her dog got her through. But then other songs, Voices of Service, wrote a song that PGA of America used in their commercials. And they have two songs, one called Come Home and one called Hope. Come Home came about. We were in a workshop, and Caleb, who is one of the members of Voices of Service, had a son that it still has a son that was active duty and having a problem. And it was a phone call during this, and Caleb came back to the meeting, and he kept saying he just needs to come home. We can work it out. He needs to come home. So from that phone call came the song Come Home.
Yeah.
And so it's on their Spotify. You can listen to it. All download platforms, streaming platforms.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
wonderful. Yeah, we love Voice of Service. We play them a little bit. We got one in the queue. We're gonna actually do it the next segment for you here, but that
oh,
that's fantastic. So how many years now? And I should have clarified, CAMO, each letter stands for something. It's Center for
it,
American Military Music Opportunities.
yes, sir.
And of course, it's expanded a little bit over the years. You also realize there's a need for the spouses and families. How many years total now has that been going on for?
It'll be 15 in July. And as you said, we do have the American Military Spouses Choir. They were also on America's Got Talent. We have CAMMO Kids that recently recorded a song called Dandelion.
Oh, how fun.
And this song was written by a Navy vet that is also a Grammy Award winning children's artist.
Wow.
And this song, Dandelion, will be on his album coming out in April. So we're very excited about that. So we've had the children. We have another group called At Ease, which is our active duty veteran program. Donnie Isaacs is one of our country artists. He came from the program in Fort Belvoir. The
Wow.
Sicilian tenors are also part of our group. And with them, one of the members is an Air Force veteran that served in Tops and Blue with another one of our members in At Ease years ago. So it's all kind of grown. We have Luther Vandross, but really Ron Gutierrez, that they call him the Luther, Latin Luther. He's out performing, an Army veteran as well.
Yeah.
So we also have classes for caregiver support with songwriting workshops. Many of us are certified life coaches or spiritual coaches because sometimes there is a need for
Right.
that. In fact, this morning, one of my sessions was straight life coach. How do I get to the next step?
Right.
How do I get there? But it was a veteran, an Army veteran that I was working with.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
that's incredible. There's so much, and I've mentioned this on the show before. Sometimes I have my friend Ron Nieves join us now. Ron is a talented musician himself up here in upstate New York, and he's in a couple bands, and he and I serve together actually. So we've talked about this before, and I think it warrants repeating. There's something really interesting about the camaraderie of being in the military and the camaraderie that comes with being in a band. And when you have that skill set, whether you're a singer, whether you play bass, drums, whatever it is, you have your one main thing. But of course, you can do other things within the group. Very similar to military, right? You have one MOS, but you know how to assimilate and you know how to do the teamwork. You know how to travel. You both like to do the mission. And then you have that camaraderie that comes with it that, whether it's backstage or in the barracks or what have you, the worlds, they almost seem like they perfectly go together. And I always play, as you know, our show, everyone on the show is a veteran. So the guests, the hosts, the music we play, right? And sometimes I'll get comments that go, how do you find all these talented veterans in music? What do you mean? I can't believe there's not more. It just seems like
this
there's
is
a
true.
world there. And your point about mental health, yes, music brings us back. When you're in the service and you're in a foreign land or you're just away from home and maybe you're miserable, you're homesick, what have you, it's that one song, it's that one tune, that one note, that one lyric that just it can change your mood. It's it's
Okay.
it's therapeutic. It's incredible how music can change. So I've always enjoyed CAMMO and what you folks are doing because it just seems like it's such a natural fit.
It is. And our team, they come prepared. I don't worry about them. They all have the mindset to do what the mission, to carry that out.
Yeah.
I know I don't have to worry about them. They will get it done. And they can just walk out there and they are ready.
Yeah. And you put some folks that might not have ever played in front of even a dive bar or something. And before long they're playing in at the Capitol for a national audience. It's just
This
incredible.
is true. Voices of Service will be at the National Cathedral next week.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So I love the idea that we are singing
Yeah.
in the National Cathedral.
Yeah, it's it
So
that that is
it'll be,
just that is
and they're
just
going to
incredible.
come, oh, they're going to come in with a fun song called Put Your Hands Together by the OJs, but
Nice.
it's their version. So
I love the military choice. And voices of service, just to remind our audience, and please correct me if I have a detail wrong here, but I believe the four of them are they all Army veterans? All
yes,
Army.
all retired.
All retired from the Army. Wow.
There's over 100 years of service between the four.
Wow.
They have been singing together since 2012. Ron and Jason were the first ones that came to me back in 2008 or so, 8 and 9. And then Crystal and Caleb came later.
Mhm.
They were on America's Got Talent in 2019, have several CDs out and some singles, holiday songs, and you can look for another song this year.
Yeah, I first learned of them. Well, obviously they're on your site and America's Got Talent, but I actually saw Sergeant Major, I believe Sergeant Major retired Reams,
Oh,
Crystal.
Crystal.
Yep, I believe I first saw her. I think she was the first one I saw, and it was actually from when she was on active duty. She did a concert with the Army band that she participated with. Might have been like
Downrange.
Downrange. There you go. Yep, there at Downrange. And then you know how the world works with YouTube and all these things. You put in the name and then you see Voices of Service and I found CAMMO and it's incredible. Yeah.
Caleb sang with Downrange as well.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah.
They both came from downrange and they did many tours out of the country and taking music with the Army around. So they're hardcore.
Yeah.
They are they are such a team, and the chemistry between those four
Yeah.
is just amazing.
Yeah.
I You can see on stage how much they care about each other. They may fight, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
just
like the
partner.
military. It's just like the military. You can have all the scrimmages you want in the barracks or what have you, but mission first, mission focus, and ultimately every single one of us raised our hands and were willing to do whatever was necessary to help others. And you wind up serving the people to your left and right. I mean, that's the thing that everyone that I've ever talked to that served, that's the one prevailing thing that we all kind of miss, right? You can't leave the world of the military and go into the private sector for the most part and have that same sense of, I'll call it security, that you can have your jokes and you can, like you're Navy, I'm Army, right? Once a year, I'm going to pick on you during the football
We
game, right?
know, but Navy's got it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, other than 3 hours a year, though, you and I will get along great. That's how that works.
Yeah,
And
but we know that.
yeah, and it's a great example and a reminder of how, we can all really get together. We can do a lot more really incredible things if people just work together and get past the little tiny minor things. But when we do it as veterans, it's kind of fun. It's all lighthearted. Now, I do want to bring up something because I love what you've done. I've known you for a couple years now. We talked, yeah, I think we first talked a couple years ago on the phone, and you're also of service, right? You're serving your fellow veterans. You're serving this group. You're doing a great job, and it costs $0 to open your mouth and sing a song. It costs $0 to take a pen and write things down. However, it's not free to travel. It's not free to rent halls. It's not free to put on marketing campaigns and social media. So I'm going to push you a little bit for your own. Just bear with me. I'm going to push you. Our audience loves supporting groups like yours. So don't be bashful. Don't hesitate. Let us know what is the most important thing that our listeners can do to basically thank you and CAMMO and to support all these artists. What's some of the ways we can show you some support?
Finding us on social media, listening to their music, finding them on YouTube, listening to music, whatever streaming platform. Always financial donations are great. What we do for a performance, we keep 10% in house from any performance. That goes to keep the programs free such as the songwriting workshops. They cost us about 7 to 8,000 each workshop to put on.
Hmm.
That includes the food, the hall, the insurance. We have different instructors that come. We have several Grammy Award winning writers that are part of our program. DQ Kionis is part of our Safe House Entertainment.
Hmm.
He has written for everyone from Beyonce to, oh, he has many Grammys, and he's produced Beyonce, Demi Lovato, Dolly Parton, just a wide variety.
Yeah.
But he allows us to have a different ear than what we do. We have a tendency to fall back. He will keep us current. So there's so many different things. I'm going to be looking for a keyboard for the children's program, things that are actually needed that we use in these programs. A new karaoke machine would be great. Just something simple. The kids, they start at 5. They go to 16 for one group. And then from 17 to 23 are the adults. They're not really adults, they're kids. But sometimes you need those older voices. And even at 20, they're still under their parents. They're in college or we have one that started with us when she was 11. She's now Air Force ROTC.
Oh, that's great.
So she will be in the Air Force. I'm not sure what rank they go in. We have another one at West Point, and they started with us when they were young. So we still keep them under our umbrella
Yeah.
until they're transitioning to adults.
Okay, that's wonderful. You're really taking care of everybody there. That's a fantastic full
Oh, you
circle. Yep.
don't just, in some of our team, um, we know that sometimes they fall back a little bit, but we don't let them go. You still reach out, you still call, do that buddy check on
Yeah.
everyone. So no, we don't want to leave them behind.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, I hope the ears listening today will check out some more. What's the main website that folks could go to? I know you mentioned social media, but what's the main
Oh,
site that kind of has everything there?
uh, CAMMOmusic.org, and that's CAMMO music.org. And you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, X, sorry,
Yeah.
X, Facebook. Find me personally. Lots of times I'll post on my page and then move it over. So just find us, follow the music,
Yeah, and
follow the team.
I want to touch on that because I think, I'm an AM radio fella. A lot of our stations in syndication are AM or FM radio. And not everyone understands this, but I learned from another musician, and I'd like you to kind of, confirm this here. You mentioned that even if a listener wants to support a particular group or your organization, let's say they don't have a lot of disposable income that they can send your way, but just by simply following and sharing, that
Correct.
actually helps. And there's a couple of things that I think there's a disconnect with listeners. Like, how does it help? You want to elaborate a little bit on that and how that helps you with venues and things like that?
It does be having more followers, making more people aware of who we are and who the groups are. That helps us when I'm going out and booking. It may find someone that never heard of us before, even sharing with your families, sharing with your friends, your coworkers. That allows us to reach a bigger audience, a wider audience. And it may not be voices that they're interested, but they may like country music and they found Donnie Isaac
Yeah,
or Delta Spur or one of the other artists, or they may like opera, and the Sicilian tenors are just who they want.
yeah,
So share, look, find us. Um, Disposable income. We have someone that has been sending us $10 a month for maybe 12 years.
Oh, God bless them. Yeah.
And that to me means so much because this person, they're consistent. I send them little special notes because I know that $10 means something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
every, just sharing,
Yep.
liking, all
Yeah,
of that.
every
That
little bit
helps
helps.
us.
Yep. And maybe there's a listener who has a venue they want to offer. Maybe there's a collaboration possibility. So
Yes.
folks, I'll encourage you, if you've listened to this show often enough, you've heard some of this music before, but I would encourage you to do a deep dive. Go to the Camo's website there. Go onto their whatever your preference is, YouTube, whatever it is, make sure you like, subscribe, support them, learn more about the artists, and ultimately remember that this all started from veterans helping each other. And if you're listening to this show, you certainly are on board with supporting it. So please do what you can. And I love the play of the words there, of course, making camo. There's no hiding this camo though, folks. She is all service all day. And
Well,
yeah, all these folks are doing a great job, so we want to do what we can to help you there. And
sure.
yeah, and we're gonna play a song just a couple minutes here from Voices of Service. But before I do that, I always like to ask this question. There's no way you could have predicted when you were living in upstate New York, uh, over Lake Erie as a teenager. There's no way you could have predicted that your life would have turned out the way you did now, right? The travels, the time in the service, Hawaii, everything. There's no way. And now all this excitement and high tempo you're doing now with Camo. But if there was a way for you to go back in time and just have a minute or less with your younger self, knowing you can't change anything, but just to have a conversation, what would you tell young Cathie, knowing what you know now, to to prepare her for this awesome,
Hmm, I'm not
crazy
sure.
but fun life? Yeah.
I'm not sure you can prepare,
Yeah.
but I always knew there would be service in me somehow. I always knew I would be giving back in some way. We were raised, being from New York, that we were at church all the time. My family, they worked with Catholic Charities, with the food bank. So I come from service. I did want to be a teacher for many years, even before the military. So I think, I don't know, I just live your dream, whatever it is, make every day count. Um, Help anyone that you can, reach out, don't leave people behind. So
Yeah. Well, you certainly have been living that advice. So I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough for your service to our country and your continued service to our veteran community. And I can't thank you enough for the music. I mean, my phone's off for the interview here, but I can tell you my Spotify's all lit up with your artists.
oh,
It's a soundtrack that it just makes me feel so good to know that there's fellow veterans and family of patriots there that really they love our country, they care for each other, and you're helping bring this music to everybody. And it's just you must sit back sometimes and just read some of the comments and go, oh, that's kind of nice. It must really kind of get you almost stunned, I would think, from time to time.
it does. There are rooms that we've been in, um, that have been, uh, a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think one of the really, we've done so many big things, but we did Invictus Games with Prince Harry 2016 in Orlando.
Wow.
And being part of that event, providing we had 250 vocalists there, all military, and to be part of that event and reaching the veterans from all around the world, that was amazing. Crystal and Ron were the leads. The two from Voices of Service were the leads in that event as well.
Beautiful.
Jason was serving in Iraq, I think, at the time. Caleb was here. But that has been amazing. Watching Donnie grow from our hospital program to now outperforming. Last year, I had him at a halftime show in North Carolina. Then he went to LA and did a halftime show there. And
Wow.
to think that he was able to do all of that from someone that came, that we've been part of his recovery journey.
Yeah.
And I just love that to watch them grow, sit in the back of the room. You're so proud of them. You just want to cry.
Yeah. Well, you're a teacher, you're a leader, you're an educator. It's the same type of feeling. Like you're watching these, I don't want to call them kids, but you're
Oh, I
watching,
do.
yeah,
I
watch
do.
them grow.
They're my, and it's just so, you know, the spouses choir, and you've worked so hard on songs, and then when they come together, it's just amazing. Or Addie, who did a whole show, and they dressed a certain way, and they were just, it just makes you proud.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic, Kathy.
So,
Well, we're going to keep cheering you folks on.
well,
Folks,
thank you.
please, like I said already, please go to um, the website. We'll have a link on ours too. So if you're watching this online, just look below. You'll see it there. You'll see Kathy's bio and do what you can to support. And in the meantime, enjoy this music. It's a gift, folks. They are giving this to you. It's a gift. Enjoy it. But please follow them and show support. And that way that continues to spread beyond your ears. So thank you again for your time today, Kathy, and in honor of you and CAMMO. And we're going to go ahead and play this song here from Voice of Service. And then right after that, we'll be back from the break for just a few more minutes, folks. So Kathy, thank you so much. And we'll have to do this again
Thank
soon,
you.
okay?
All right.